What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Wrestling Inc. podcast, April 18th edition, brought to you by trendybutler.com and ddpyoga.com/wrestling. I am here, as always, with Vince Russo. Vince, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Sean. How are you?
I am excellent. I'm excellent. The weather's beautiful here. I hear it's not so beautiful in Colorado.
Yeah, we had a lot of snow over the weekend, bro. It was miserable, but it's supposed to get better as the week progresses. I think we're supposed to get up to 80 on Saturday.
It's crazy. I had a friend who moved from my hometown to Denver, and she went from 75-degree weather, and by the end of the weekend, she was under 2 feet of snow.
Yeah. So. But I mean, when it snows here, bro, it's like gone the next day, so you're never stranded or anything like that.
So, Vince, before we get into Raw, there were a couple things I wanted to talk about. Bray Wyatt sustained an injury, obviously bad enough to keep him and the Wyatt family off the show. It happened last week at a house show. Your feelings on this and how we don't know how long he'll be out, but your feelings on this and what they can do with the remaining Wyatt family members, if anything.
Well, bro, I would try to do something with them. I mean, man, you're shelving a lot of talent there, Sean. If you can't get Bray back anytime soon, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be back anytime soon. And, bro, you've got some valuable pieces if you got behind these guys and gave them a little bit of a story. Bro, who knows? Maybe they become successful without Bray Wyatt. And that equates into a storyline when he comes back. I mean, there are things you can do. Unfortunately, just looking at the track record of the WWE, it would just seem like, if he's not going to be around, then they may not be around. And I just personally think that's a mistake. I think these guys have a look. They have size. I think you could do something with them, man. It would be a shame for all of these guys to be off the roster for a while.
I agree. As if losing Luke Harper wasn't bad enough because he was their workhorse, they lose their number 2 guy in the ring. And Eric Rowan has made some improvements, but not really enough to carry them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Also, some big news this week. It appears as if, and it's not final by any means, TNA may be sold soon. Apparently, a company called Aerolux is in discussions. Ron and Don Harris work for that company. Vince, you worked for them for a long time. I mean, you've had an up and down relationship. Some people have even blamed you for TNA's woes in the past.
Yeah, blame me for their 2 million viewers. I'll take all the blame in the world. Thank you. I drove them right out of business with the 2 million viewers we had.
How do you feel about this? Apparently, Dixie is trying to retain majority ownership. Now, this sort of thing has happened before where apparently the Carters were willing to sell the company, but Dixie Carter had to at least appear that she was in the role that she had always been in. Why do you think this hang-up always happens when it's obvious that this is a toxic situation?
Because Dixie would look at this as a failure. And I think Dixie is more concerned with what the failure personally means to her. I don't think she's worried more about what it publicly means. I think, listen, there's a lot of competition in Dixie's family. They're a very wealthy family. Dixie's brother, basically took the reins from her father and, runs the oil company. And, Dixie was running her little TNA, and it was very, very, very competitive. And I think Dixie just refuses to go down because I think a lot of it is more personal, to be honest with you. How's it going to look to her father? How's it going to look to her brother? I don't think on the surface she really cares about how it's going to publicly look to TNA fans. I don't think she cares about that. That's my 2 cents. But quite frankly, bro, when, you're going from television taping to television taping, just trying to scrounge the money together for another taping, I mean, my gosh, Sean, it just gets to the point of really being ridiculous. Now, if there wasn't light at the end of this tunnel, if we saw a major change in the company, if ratings were starting to go up, if all signs were starting to point to a turnaround, that would be one thing. But there are no signs pointing to anything like that. So it's like, my God, at what point do you put pride aside and, get the investors you need to keep this thing going, even if it means that you're no longer in charge? Nobody's going to come bail TNA out and not take control of the company. Nobody is going to spend their money and let Dixie Carter and John Gaborick run that company. Nobody. So it just really comes down to, do you want to put your pride aside? Do you want to try to salvage this thing, or are you just going to lose it altogether?
And I don't understand why it's so hard for her to grasp, because I mean, Jeff Jarrett was still involved in some capacity when she took over the company from him, but not to the capacity in which he was before. And now she's almost in the same situation where she's having to be saved and wants to retain control of the company. They have some very talented people, but I mean, their roster looks nothing like it did when they built their fan base. There are a couple of people that were even there a few years ago now. And I don't know.
No, I listen, man, I don't like talking about TNA because I don't watch it. So that's why I did watch it the other night. I sat there and I tried to watch it, and my wife was even watching it with me. And like about 30, 40 minutes in, she just kind of turned to me and she goes, why are you watching this? And I mean, I had to ask myself the same question, like, why am I watching this? So like I said, it's not that there are signs of a major turnaround. It's a wrestling show. And my God, if she has somebody that wants to buy it, I would be selling it tomorrow.
Yeah, I wish nothing but the best for TNA. I hope they can turn it around. Right now, I don't see it, especially with Dixie Carter in control and a couple of other people in management. There are some people that work for that company that I know are great hands, and then there are others that, I'll talk to people off the record and I'll hear things that aren't that great. And it seems like a toxic situation, and I would like to see them survive and thrive, but major changes are going to need to be made. Guys, if you all haven't already, please leave a thumbs up on this video if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe to our YouTube. We have a lot of cool different stuff coming to our YouTube in the coming months. Tomorrow I have an interview with Lucha Underground's Eva Lise that goes up on the page. Also, every Friday now we're doing audio flashbacks where we'll take stuff that we haven't posted on the YouTube before and let you hear some stuff from our shoot interviews. Anyway, we kicked off Raw tonight. The Ambrose Asylum. It's a new talk show started by Shane McMahon. I will say I thought it was kind of funny that Ambrose started it off as if it were an actual talk show with a monologue and a corny joke. Shane McMahon came out. He kind of struggled on the mic a little bit, made a few matches. He's in control again. Does this still make you scratch your head about that WrestleMania result, Vince?
Sean, what makes me scratch my head is, I swear to you, bro, I don't want to go off here because, quite frankly, I'm too tired to. But I mean, Sean, let's face it, we can do this wrap up in 5 minutes. I don't know if I've ever seen a show that was 3 hours long and absolutely nothing happened. Now, don't get me wrong, bro. I'm not a moron. I'm not an idiot. This was a big show in England. They sold it out. I understand from their perspective, all they really need to do is put on an entertaining house show. I understand all that, but they still forget there are people watching at home. And I don't know throughout the body of this 3-hour show how they possibly think they could have been compelling people to stay with this show. I mean, nothing happened, Sean, nothing. I don't know I don't know how to explain it better than that. The only thing that happened was, the Bullet Club and AJ. That was it. That was the only thing that happened in 3 hours. And they taught me in wrestling my first day on the job, you never play to the house. You play to the millions and millions and millions of people watching at home. Today they played to the house. They had a glorified 3-hour house show that made the house happy, but I guarantee you all they did in the process was turn off more viewers. And I'm telling you, bro, they're working towards a Shane versus Stephanie and Triple H angle. They have to be. There's no question about that they are. But the more and more people they turn off in the interim, they're not going to have an audience there by the time that angle starts.
Well, they also did the tag team tournament, but I mean that was kind of, they could have done that on SmackDown and it would have had the same result, honestly. Shane McMahon made matches for Payback, which apparently he's able to do with his limited control. He made Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Also made a couple of matches for the night. Zayn versus Jericho, Owens versus Ambrose. Was not excited for Ambrose and Owens at all. We've seen it 100 times. Really nothing else that we can really do there. But Zayn and Jericho kicked off. It was an awesome match. I thought it was fantastic. And, a lot of people will be like, well, why is Sami Zayn losing so much when he just started? I think it's fine. You have to make Chris Jericho look strong going in there with Ambrose. And Sami Zayn is going to get over probably as an underdog if he gets over anyway. So I don't really see any harm in this. Any feelings about the booking? It was largely inconsequential.
No, I mean, I agree with you, bro. They have to have some guys that are strong in order to get the upper tier over. So, that's, part of the reason why they put Jericho over at WrestleMania. That's part of the reason why they put him over in this match. So, I don't have a booking. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I've been beating the drum that, bro, you got to get Ambrose over at some point. Ambrose has to beat somebody at some point. So I think it's smart to keep Jericho strong as he goes into this with Ambrose.
Also, something they didn't do this week that they did last week, and we complimented them on, the weaving Shane in and out of the show. Do you think that just happened last week by accident?
Sean, it's almost you have to think that, because otherwise, how do you explain the inconsistency? Like, I don't. How do you explain it? I don't know how to sit here and explain it. Okay, we did it last week. We got good feedback, so let's just not do it this week. I don't know how you explain it, bro. I don't know.
I mean, I guess unless Vince shows up next week and says, well, Shane, you really dropped the ball last week because that show was nothing. Yeah. Maybe then it would make sense, but I don't know. We did have Enzo and Cass beat the Dudleys. I thought that was one of the highlights of the show outside of the Bullet Club thing. Crowd was hot for Enzo and Cass.
Yeah, bro,
so far,
it amazes me. It amazes me how comfortable Enzo is in front of that kind of a crowd. And bro, I know NXT have drawn big crowds, at takeovers and stuff like that. Bro, that guy cut that promo like he's been cutting promos for the last 30 years. He was so comfortable, so confident. What, bro, this guy gets it. He's got it. He gets it. It was, definitely the highlight of the show.
Yeah, and Cass, if you've ever seen him on that show Breaking Ground that they do on the network, he's a remarkably shy guy, and he fits in this role so well. My main concern with them coming up to the main roster was, will they get old too quickly? So far, they haven't. So far, it's been a little bit different every time, and there was a little bit of a build to this match. They'd been going at it with the Dudleys back and forth for a couple of weeks. They get the win. They move on to the finals. Also, Vince, you'll be happy to hear this. They're YouTube clips. They do YouTube clips of every segment on the company's YouTube, and that's usually a pretty good gauge over what's capturing interest. Every week so far, Enzo and Cass have been like top 2 or 3, and that I'm talking like up there with Shane McMahon, Roman Reigns, those type of segments. So whatever they're doing is working.
Well, bro, what they're doing is, and they're not doing it, Enzo is doing it.
Yeah.
What they're doing is creating characters. You know, bro, I'll be honest with you. I was shocked to hear the crowd response to whatchamacallit, the cereal dudes, New Day.
New Day.
Bro, they're characters. They're characters. And when nobody else on the card is a character, when you have characters, they're going to stand out and the people are going to pop for them. That's why New Day is over. That's why Enzo and Cass are going to be over. They're not guys that just look like wrestlers. They're entertainers. And that's why, Cass and Enzo are getting that kind of a response.
Yeah, glad to see them in the finals. New Day, by all means, are baby faces. So I'm wondering if Enzo and Cass will emerge victorious, or if maybe this will lead to something with them and another team. Maybe the Dudley Boys cause them to lose. Because it's hard for me to see them going in the direction of Enzo and Cass versus versus New Day, because one of those guys, it could be some great mic work back and forth, but I feel like one of those sides is bound to get exposed, like might not be able to hang with the other one on the mic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, not so much that, bro. But if you got two groups that are over right now, keep the groups over, bro. Don't screw with it. Don't mess with it. Keep them both over. I mean, God knows the WWE needs as much talent over as they possibly can handle right now. So you got to be very careful with that, bro. You don't want to monkey with it. You want to keep both parties over. Getting those guys in a feud with each other, it would create more problems than opportunities.
I agree. Also, the Vaudevillains beat the Usos, who were attacked by Anderson and Gallows last week.
And bro, I hate that. I just want to point it out again about, I'm always a stickler, Sean, for protecting characters. The Usos are attacked by Anderson and Gallows last week, and the following week they do absolutely nothing. So the message is, if we're the Usos, it's okay for anybody to attack us from behind because we're not going to do anything to you. I hate that, bro. It's lazy booking, and it's stuff that literally hinders talent in getting over.
Yeah, also the Vaudevillains beat the Usos, as I mentioned. I think the Vaudevillains could win this if for no other reason. The New Day could probably do some pretty good mic work, ridiculing them for their gimmick and things like that. I think maybe if you give them some verbal time, either team, it could be kind of interesting. So we had that. Also, Baron Corbin defeated Fandango or Fandango, whichever you want to call him. Not like it matters these days. Hit the end of days on Dolph Ziggler on the floor, who was ringside. He tossed Fandango into him. This Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler doing anything for you, Vince?
Well, I was happy to see them get more heat on Corbin. And they got some more good heat on Corbin. I was happy to see that. So I think that was a good thing.
I tell you, you would love his NXT gimmick that he does, where he hated all the indie guys that came up because he didn't have to go through the high school gyms and didn't have to do that, and he saw himself as above that. Mm-hmm. And because he was an NFL player, he didn't have to do what they did. And yeah, I thought that was awesome. I thought they should have brought it over to the main roster, because I think that you have a giant number of people that you could run that with, because it's not like that attitude's going to change. Now, Vince, my segues on this show are pretty popular. You know that, right?
Yeah, they're huge, bro. They're huge. They're over huge.
If I get attention for anything on this show, it's because of segues. And I'm not even going to use one right now. I just want to talk about how utterly thrilled I am with one of our sponsors, Vince.
Go ahead.
TrendyButler.com. Like, we use this stuff. We have had sponsors pitch us stuff, and we wouldn't be caught dead using it, and we don't. Or they'll tell us to say something that we don't believe. We won't do it. I won't do it. Because if we have people that order this, and it's absolutely terrible, that comes back on us, and we've lost a viewer for life.
Right.
TrendyButler.com. I ordered one of their boxes. And the whole pitch was you spend $65, you get over $150 in designer clothes back. TrendyButler.com, coupon code Wrestling10, all caps. They sent me this box of clothes, and I couldn't have been happier, Vince. Not only that, I did some investigative work because I do a little investigative journalism, mind you. As you know, you've been interviewed for a couple of my things. The shirt I'm wearing right now, they sent me. It's beautiful. $65 retails online. That's the amount that I paid already. Not to mention the Wrestling 10 code. Then these beautiful pants. I wonder if I can get it in the shot. Well, I do DDP yoga, so of course I can get it in the shot. These beautiful pants, I looked them up, Vince, and I was stunned. And I'm not joking you. I will send you all the link. $100 they retail online. And that's not it. Because our weather in Kentucky is so unpredictable, they also sent me a beanie. And I'm like, man, this beanie feels really good. Well, I pulled the tag out, and Vince, my friend, it says cashmere on it. They sent me a 70. They sent me a 75. Yes, a $75 beanie. I didn't even know that was a thing that happened in the world.
Bro, if you wore your cashmere beanie on this show, you would have been over huge with me.
Well, here it is. It's burning up in my office.
Put it on.
Burning. I'm not going to put it on because it's burning up in my office. You know what? I'll
put it on. Look at you, bro. Now we're talking.
And it's cashmere. And if you don't believe me, my friends, well, I don't know if you can read the tag right now. But it's cashmere. And I looked it up online. It retails for $75. Yeah. See, Vince, you messed up my hair. You messed up Sean Ross Sapp's hair.
Like the Led Zeppelin song. Well, that's why, bro, if you keep it on, you won't have to worry about your hair, bro.
That's humidity and stuff. But yeah, I get it. But I just want to say, I'm more than thrilled with TrendyButler.com. And I know you would too, my friends. Go there, create a custom style profile based on your tastes, and they will have a stylist pick out your clothes for you and send them to you every month. And you can save $10 on your order by using Wrestling10, all caps, TrendyButler.com. You can always find a link in our iTunes page. You can find them on Twitter. We'll post it on there sometimes. And, of course, the podcast post page. Just wanted to say I was thrilled with TrendyButler.com.
Nice.
Use that coupon code Wrestling10. Yeah. I mean, when our sponsors do something like that, got to give them the shout out. You know what I mean? Also got to give a shout out to my boy, Carl Anderson, Cincinnati representing. He appeared backstage. It was also very fitting. Mauro Ranallo was interviewing AJ Styles backstage. Mauro Ranallo did the commentary for New Japan on Access before WWE picked him up. So kind of a cool moment. They reunited Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, AJ Styles. AJ slipped up and called Luke Doc Gallows, his TNA and New Japan name. This was a cool moment, Vince.
Are we talking about the first one?
Yes, the first one. Where they
Bro, I'm not listening. Sean, let's agree to disagree here. Let me tell you why. Sean, I'm the voice of the casual fan. So if you do wrestling 24/7 like you do, it was a cool moment. To a casual fan, they have no idea these guys were in New Japan.
Now come on, Vince. You are an internet darling now. You are an internet darling.
And I'm being honest. I'm talking for the 6 million people that the WWE have lost. They're not all internet darlings. So they would have not known about New Japan. They would have not known these guys work together. They would have not known any of this. Again, explained horribly to the casual wrestling fans that aren't on the internet 24/7, bro.
And you know what's a shame? They produced a video explaining this and put it on their YouTube. Why didn't they show that during their show?
Tell me and we'll both know, bro.
But Vince, you had built a reputation over the last 2 weeks, my friend, as an internet darling. 2 weeks ago, you told us about your fandom of Will Ospreay. Last week, Shinsuke Nakamura. You just drove a knife through the heart of your newfound internet fan.
I didn't drive any knife at all, bro. I'm trying to help the WWE get their casual fan base back. That's all I'm trying to do. And nobody, if you're a casual fan, you don't know who these guys are. They got to do a better freaking job. That's not a shot at the guys. That's not saying they're bad or anything like that. That's, the casual viewers that I believe they have to get back don't know anything about the history of these people.
Yeah, I do think
I had somebody on my I went on my website today during the show. I was tweeting live, russosbrand.com, and some guy tweeted me, and I quote, "My wife just told me Sami Zayn looks like a cab driver." Bro, what have I been saying since he arrived on the scene? That's what every casual wrestling fan is saying. This guy looks like a cab driver. No, it's not, bro. It's the hat. Okay, bro? But the fact of the matter is, that's not Sami Zayn's fault. This isn't Gallows and Anderson's fault. They have to do a better job in history lessons, bro.
I thought for sure they would show vignettes of the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn feud, and they have not done it yet. They have to do that. I'm sure they will for the pay-per-view, but by then you're already at the point that you're going towards. You're already there. So what's the point? The pay-per-view has been sold.
Bro, can I say something too before I forget, bro? Listen, sure. I love the UK. And I was there, I think, 3 times in the past year. And the UK loves me, bro. Bro, I'm over huge in the UK. They love me in the UK. And I love the UK. I want to go back again. Bro, the oh yay. Okay, bro. Once it's great, 2 times it's okay. Bro, by the time they get to the 3rd time, it's the tomahawk chop at Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta. Bro, enough you guys with the ole. You want to do it once? Great. Twice, I'll give you a pass. 3 times maybe. When you're doing it 6 times, it's a little bit freaking much, everybody. Let's relax. And I love the UK, but 6 times, come on.
Do they still do the tomahawk chop in Atlanta?
Yes, they do, bro. Yes, they do. That's why the Braves are 2-9, bro.
In 2016, they still do the tomahawk chop.
Absolutely do. Yes, they do.
That's unbelievable for any number of reasons. Later on, Roman Reigns is in the ring. He gets attacked by Gallows and Anderson. AJ looks on, doesn't quite understand your feelings on this. There's been a lot of speculation. Who will these 2 guys side with? Now, the thing is, it's all been speculation on these shows. It's not been on the air. So, again, maybe no background.
There's not enough background, bro. And, bro, I got to tell you something. AJ has to be very careful because I know Vince McMahon like the back of my hand. Bro, remember I was telling you just a couple of weeks ago, AJ's promos, the way he's watching his dialect, and yes. He was cutting some really good promos. Bro, when he was having a conversation here with Gallows and Anderson, this was the country boy from Gainesville, Georgia. And, bro, this is the reason why I'm saying that, because Vince is hearing that in the back. And
well, let me read a text that my fiance sent me. And I hate this because I don't want my fiance to get heat. But this was sent from downstairs. AJ Styles sounds like he should be holding a Budweiser in one hand, a cigarette on the other, standing on his front porch, yelling at his neighbors down the holler.
Yeah, no, bro. And this is why I'm saying it. That matters to Vince McMahon. Bro, I'm telling you, he's at that gorilla position. He's hearing this. And I'm telling you, bro, stuff like that makes him sour on people. And that is a fact. I know him. And that was the only time, though. This has been the only one time AJ's kind of taken a step back promo-wise. And I hope somebody smartens him up. And I'm sure somebody there will. He's gotta watch those promos. He was fine in the ring with Reigns. But when it went to the one in the back, bro, it was, bro, you gotta, that's very important.
Yeah, being from the South, that doesn't bother me as much, but that's because, I'm used to hearing it. But I definitely notice it, and yeah, hopefully that doesn't affect him. We'll have the people saying, what about Jim Ross? What about Steve Austin? That was kind of their gimmicks, is that they were rednecks. So it's a little bit different. Next up, We had Miz TV. I think Cesaro was on there. I can't even remember. It just didn't matter. Maurice is out there. They're a good act. I like Maurice and the Miz. That's cool. I like them.
And bro, when we talk about character building, here's what I'm talking about, which was perfect. Bro, the 30 seconds when the guy put his coat on the spilled Coke. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need. That's all you need. Yep. Stuff like that is perfect. That's all you need.
Oh, did you see, was it last week on Raw or maybe SmackDown where Maurice wouldn't let Miz drink the domestic water?
Yeah, last week. Yep.
Oh, God, that was great. Yeah. That was so
good.
Simple. Yeah. Led to New Day and Cesaro versus The Miz in the League of Nations. Very, very inconsequential match. As we said, this very much, guys, is a character-based podcast where we examine booking and things like that. And to be quite honest, I mean, it furthered the Miz Cesaro thing, but it really didn't do a lot.
No, it was a house show match, bro. I mean, that's what it was, bro, they pop huge for New Day. I got to give New Day credit because they are over, and they do like New Day. And I think that has a lot with them having characters and wardrobe and all that stuff I still believe in. I think Cesaro did a good job tonight. I like Miz repeating the lines from the movies and cutting himself and doing it again. I find that very entertaining. That's all character development, bro. That's really, really good stuff.
Yeah, Cesaro and the New Day won. The New Day went from dead in the water about 14 months ago to a very over act. So good for them. We also had an 8-woman tag with Natalya, Becky Lynch, Paige, and Sasha Banks against Naomi, Tamina, Summer Rae, and Charlotte. Natalya ended up getting the win with the sharpshooter on the champion. I'm a little conflicted on this. I know they have to make Natalya look strong, but I really hate making the champions look weak. What are your feelings on this?
Well, bro, it depends how you look at it, Sean, because she's got a title match coming up with Natalya at the pay-per-view. Why? And you would feel better about it if the announcers did their jobs and explained it. Why would Charlotte put herself in harm's way in an 8-woman tag? If she taps out and saves herself for the championship fight, it means nothing. And that's the story that the announcers should have told. How, she learned the tricks of the trade by Ric Flair. Tapping out in an 8-woman match is not going to mean anything. Charlotte's smart enough to make sure she doesn't go into defending her her title injured. That's the story they should have told that they did not tell.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. So we're getting Natalya, Charlotte at the pay-per-view. No big surprise. Next up, and I kind of like this. So the Social Outcasts are backstage. Are you aware of the drug test failures last week?
Yes.
So Adam Rose failed a drug test, his second. He failed one in developmental. Connor of the Ascension failed a drug test, his second. He failed one 10 years ago. Vince, do you think that this completely ruins WWE's main event booking plans?
Bro, you know what I've been thinking long and hard? And Sean, I know you're an athlete, bro. I know you are, and I know you take great pride in it. Sean, I've been asking myself this question over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm hoping to, bro, I have interviews scheduled, but I don't like to talk about them until they're in the can because you know how it is. You know how it is. You know how it is.
You never know until they pick up that phone.
Yeah. But tomorrow I'm supposed to interview Kurt, and he's probably my best friend in the business. So I'm not worried about it. And one of the things I want to talk to him about, Sean, and maybe from a athlete's point of view, you can help me with this. Bro, how did guys fail drug tests when A, they've already failed one before, and B, they know they're going to be tested again? What is the mindset for these guys to fail a second drug test, bro? Bro, unless it's dependency, I don't know what else it could be.
Yeah, and we don't know what the substance is. We don't know if it's painkillers, steroids. I mean, people like Evan Bourne have failed for synthetic marijuana. And meanwhile, the regular marijuana is just a fine. So we know it wasn't just marijuana. It's either a painkiller, a steroid. I don't know. I'll have to look at the banned substance list. I don't know if diuretics are something that is banned on that list, but twice, and in Connor's case, it spans 10 years. So he's been using in between that time. I mean, you don't pick it up once, then do it once randomly 10 years later and just get caught. It's not just the twice that they've done it if they've been caught twice.
Yeah.
In the WWE, I understand it's a physically, physical appearance based thing. But now more than ever, it's not.
It's not anymore at all. And it's hard to comment, Sean, because we really don't know what they got busted for. Yeah. But man, especially if somebody failed a test once, how you fail it a second time, and this is your livelihood. Oh my God, it just boggles my mind, bro.
For a guy like Adam Rose, who we've seen what his son is going through. We saw it on that ESPN special. His son, has needs. He's fed through his stomach with a tube and things like that. Don't know if he still is. I don't know. Nobody personally on my fight team, none of our fight team has ever failed for, a performance enhancing drug or anything like that. It's not something that's ever been like, well, this is an option, because you either have it or you don't. And that's just in MMA. The places that we've done pro wrestling at, that they're not drug testing on the indie level. That's not happening. But at the WWE level, they do. And the thing is, nobody gets caught anymore. Like hardly ever does anybody get caught. So that's confusing.
Bro, unless unless I do understand the painkiller thing where you don't want to let them know you're hurt because you think it's going to cost you your spot. So you take the painkillers to get through the match. Like, I understand that, but they have so much to lose, man.
Well, and that's something I kind of understand. I've never taken a painkiller in my life, so I wouldn't know what it really feels like. I took a muscle relaxer one time for an injury, and I felt hungover the next day. And I wrestle maybe 4 or 5 times a year. These guys are doing that in a week.
Yeah, no.
So it's hard to relate to something like that.
It is.
But I know one thing. I do know one thing. You know what has never caused a drug test failure?
Trendy Butler.
No, ddpyoga.com/wrestling Inc. My friend, used by John Cena, who has never failed a drug test. Chris Jericho, who has never failed a drug test. AJ Styles, who has never failed a drug test. We won't talk about Shawn Michaels back in the 90s. That was before DDP Yoga was around. But when he was recovering from his back injury 15 years ago, he was using the DDP
Yoga.
Yoga.
You never bring up with this DDP Yoga. And the last time I checked, he was a trainer at DDP Yoga.
Who is it?
And this guy is in sick shape. Like, bro, the sickest shape I think I've ever seen anybody his age. And you never use
Who is it?
Example.
Who?
Mr. Stevie Richards, bro.
Oh, I bring him up all the time.
You never bring Stevie Richards up on the show, bro. That guy's a freak of nature. DDP Yoga, bro.
Yeah, maybe not on the Monday shows, but when we do the non-Monday Night Raw show on Wednesdays, where we talk about Ring of Honor and NXT, Lucha Underground, TNA. He showed up on Ring of Honor and did a World TV title match with Roderick Strong. And he was in insane shape. And it's because of
shape. Yeah, DDP Yoga.
And it's because of ddpyoga.com/wrestling Inc., my friends. Go there and get a great deal on the Max Pack. Also, of course, check out the Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Available now on Vudu, Amazon, PlayStation Network, Google Play, iTunes, video on demand everywhere. One of my favorite wrestling documentaries ever. Also, my good friends in Australia, DDP is coming to see you all, I think, next week. He will be, I think, in Melbourne. Yeah, in Melbourne, screening The Resurrection of Jake the Snake at the Astor Theater on April 24th. And he's conducting a DDP Yoga workshop on May 1st. Go to ddpyoga.com and check out his appearances schedule. You can get those tickets at ticketblaster.com.au, ddpyoga.com/wrestling Inc. Support the podcast. And of course, tweet Trendy Butler, tweet DDP, tweet DDP Yoga. Tell them Sean Ross Sapp, tell them Vince Russo, even Raj Giri sent you. Tell them so we can keep doing this podcast.
Bro, did you say you interviewed Ivelisse this week?
I interviewed her last week, but yeah, she was, and it's funny because you hear all the rumors and the stuff that, like, well, she had an attitude problem. That's why she didn't work out in the WWE. I hear her side of things, and I understand it. She didn't want to be a bathroom break. I think she would have fit in perfectly had she been there about 5 years later.
Bro, more importantly, did she ask about me?
She did not. I didn't actually bring you up. I got to say, though.
All right.
And this is legit. She was probably the easiest person to deal with that I have ever interviewed.
The best. And bro, did you get into back then when she was at the WWE? I mean, did you get into who was like her biggest fan?
I didn't.
Austin, bro.
Oh, I'm not surprised because he was on
Austin. Yeah, he loved her, bro. He loved her. That surprise, that alone should have been enough of a recommendation.
Because she said that people were telling her, "Don't fight like a guy," and she's like, "Well, it's kind of what I do. Sorry."
Yeah,
and it's like,
Austin
man,
loved her. Yeah,
and it's a shame. She would be huge now.
Yeah.
Imagine her as a heel in today's WWE and their women's. Yeah. Oh my God, she would be. And I still hold out hope that maybe they'll bring her in eventually after maybe after the Lucha Underground thing. But yeah, she emails you back immediately. She sends promo photos, so you have your materials on time. A+ for Ivelisse. Very excited about that. That interview drops tomorrow at 3 p.m. on WrestlingInc.com. We'll have it on iTunes and Stitcher and, of course, YouTube. But back to Raw. There was a funny segment, I thought, where the Social Outcasts are backstage, and they're looking for a fourth member because Adam Rose isn't there, and they're trying to recruit Apollo Crews. This is the first time we've really heard Apollo Crews, and he says, "Okay, I'll join you, but only if you beat me. And if you don't beat me, you all got to leave me alone forever." I like that. It gave a little reason for this match, Vince, and one that, otherwise just is something, but it was nothing much, but it gave you a little reason.
Well, Sean, to be absolutely honest with you, because I would never, ever lie to you or the great Roger Geary at WrestlingInc.com, this was definitely during the time I flipped over to Teen Mom to see what was going on with Janelle and Barbara. So I missed this. However, the way you explain it, good character development, good for both groups. I like the setup. Good vignette. I did not see it, though. I'm being honest with you.
Unfortunately, Apollo Crews is not the new leader of the Social Outcasts. He beat Heath Slater, although that could have been fun. Also, something I really liked, as Apollo Crews was leaving, Kevin Owens' music interrupted him. I love Kevin Owens just beefing with everybody. I loved it last year when he was feuding with about 7 people at the same time. I think it's great. I think it's perfect. His whole thing should be that he's a jerk.
I thought they did it that way, bro, because they might have been running late, to be honest with you.
Really?
That was my first impression. Yeah, that was my first impression, but I could be wrong. That was just my thought.
Well, they ended kind of early.
John, I hate to burst everybody's bubble. All right? Here's where, listen, I got myself over with Offspray. I got myself over with...
Did you call him Osprey or Offspray?
Offspray. I got myself, and bro, he's a big fan of mine, by the way, too, Osprey. I got myself over with Nakamura. I wrote a big article about him on RussoBrand.com. But, bro, not for anything. All these Kevin Steen, great worker, bro, when he hits the ring, who is he wrestling again, Ambrose? Bro, bro, anybody out there, I dare you to go back and look at the punches that he threw straight away at Dean Ambrose. So people that get upset with me because I don't carry on about Kevin Owens being a great worker. When you're a great worker all the time. Bret Hart was a great worker all the time. Shawn Michaels was a great worker all the time. That's what makes you a great worker. Bro, when you hit the ring and you throw about 8 straight punches that miss the guy's face by a good 6 inches, and it's obvious to everybody watching on TV, that does not equate to great worker. That's why I hold off on my judgment of calling Kevin Owens a great worker.
You're a great worker, Vince.
People want to just ignore things like that. No, if you're going to call somebody a great worker and you're going to put him in a Shawn Michaels category, we need to look at the whole enchilada.
Either way, Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens, in my opinion, had an excellent match for one that I didn't care about. Ambrose won, was attacked by Jericho. Jericho stands tall at the end of Raw. Vince, your lasting thoughts on this Raw? A very uneventful one, which is the tradition in London.
Doesn't have to be, Sean.
It doesn't.
It doesn't have to be.
I mean, it wasn't a terrible show,
bro.
They
have television cameras backstage there. It doesn't have to be a terrible Raw, bro. Bro, what did I give it last week?
I think you gave it a 4.
A 4. You know what I'm giving it this week?
What's that?
Goose egg, donut,
Wow.
a massive 3-hour waste of my Monday night. And I'm not upset because I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting anything to happen in England. They had a big house. They had to put on a good house show. So that's why I'm not pissed off, but a massive 3-hour waste of my time.
Vince, we'll have you answer a couple of questions before you get off here since Raj isn't here.
Bro, why aren't you addressing the Kevin Steen punches where he missed by 6 inches? Why aren't you addressing those?
I mean, I agree with you. The punches look bad.
Okay, but you didn't say that, don't you? See, I had to get it out of you that you agreed with me.
I have to be
bro,
like,
put
yeah,
the hat on.
yeah,
Your hair's all messed up, bro. You got to put on the cashmere hat for the finish.
Oh, good job, boss. I'm not doing one of those, Vince. Sorry.
What questions you got for me, Sean?
Who do you think the Bullet Club or the stable with Gallows and Anderson should consist of in WWE? Should they be with Balor and Styles, just Styles, or Roman Reigns? Or none?
They should be with who needs him the most. That's who they should be with, bro. And
who do you think that should be?
I would say right now, AJ.
I
would, and as a matter of fact, I love this story because you tend to believe AJ because the Gainesville, Georgia comes out of him. So you tend to believe he didn't know anything about it. I would love that he knew everything about it. And these two guys are his henchmen. And now AJ's kind of a tweener. I would love that. So I would put him with who needs him the most. Bro, from what I see of Finn Balor, and again, it all goes back to character. It all goes back to personality. It all goes back to entrance and all that stuff for me. I don't think he needs them. I think he is a unique enough character to get over on his own.
I mean, AJ Styles is so over as a babyface right now.
But it's not going to be long, bro. The key word you said was right now. He's going to need something to keep him hot.
Somebody asks, where do you see Apollo Crews' ceiling in the WWE? I feel like he will get the Shelton Benjamin treatment, insanely athletic, but not utilized to his fullest potential. I
agree 1,000%, bro. I think 1,000%.
I will say I think Shelton Benjamin was a better athlete than Crews. Not saying that Crews is not a good athlete, just Shelton Benjamin, one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in wrestling, period. Let's see. What is going to happen with the Authority and Shane McMahon, Vince?
Bro, that has to be the huge angle. Bro, if they this could be so meaty and so huge. This could be the angle, bro, to bring the audience back. It's going to do one of two things, bro. It's going to either bring the audience back or it's either going to be WCW versus the WWE. That's it. There's no middle ground. It can be great. It can be phenomenal. And, bro, let's face it. They've gotten off to a horrible start. You know, the fact that Shane McMahon is running the show with no pushback. I mean, it's off to a horrendous start. The great thing about wrestling, though, bro, is anything can be fixed. This has the potential to be the greatest angle to get the customer base back, or WWE versus WCW.
Somebody said Roman Reigns is still using the I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Is it starting to lose steam?
Yeah, we're beating it into the ground now, bro. Like when he said it the first time, it was absolutely over. This is the third time now, the third week in a row, we're starting to beat it into the ground a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of heat they're looking for there. I'm not sure. Maybe they're getting the desired reaction. Don't know. It's a little weird for me. But I guess if it keeps getting a reaction, whatever. But I'm not sure if it's the one that they want. Do you think that the attack on Reigns was just a trick? So at Payback, when it looks like the Bullet Club is going to reunite, that's when the real turn happens, and they form the Roman Empire.
I hope not, bro. I hope not. I don't see that, bro. I mean, I just don't. I hope not.
Somebody says the boos, no pun intended, just keep raining down on Roman. WWE are truly psychotic if they don't form the Roman Empire. To me, that is not only the best play. Your thoughts? Well, he just gave them. Let's see.
Bro,
Has the
people don't understand. So let me explain something to the people out there in television land. Bro, the fact that boos are raining down on him, that means that the people are responding to Roman Reigns. Whether they're cheers or whether they're boos, it doesn't matter as long as they respond to the guy. That's what matters. When he comes out there and you could hear crickets and nobody's responding in any way, shape, or form, now you've got a problem. If they're booing him out of the building, they're responding to him. That's not a bad thing.
I agree. I just hope that I hope they continue down the current road. I really liked the backstage thing where he said, this is not a coincidence that my cousins got attacked last week and then I got attacked this week. I thought that was great continuity, something we have complained about a lot, something they should really do.
Yep.
Now, Vince, are you a UFC guy?
I'm not. I know very, very little.
What a shame. What a shame. I'm afraid I got to let you go then, my friend. Tell them about the brand.
Yeah, guys, you could follow everything the brand by going to Russo's with an S, russosbrand.com. We do video podcasting every single day of the week. Today, we had the absolutely stunning and gorgeous Terry Runnels on the show. And I swear to you, bro, I wouldn't say this if I didn't mean it. She's gotten better with age. She looks stunning. And then the following day, those interviews are on Podcast One for free. Our show's on Podcast One 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow on video, you'll get to see the Attitude Era. And I'm going to tease you a little bit, Sean, because we talked about I don't like counting my chickens before they hatch.
Indeed.
I have a former world champion joining us for the Attitude Era show tomorrow.
So will the great Khali have a translator or?
No. Was he a former champion, the great Khali? No, during the Attitude Era, a former champion. During the Attitude Era, bro.
Interesting. So you told me. You already told me.
No, not Kurt. Kurt wasn't there for. I didn't work with Kurt at the WWE, bro.
Oh, you didn't? He came in right after you left.
Right after me, yeah. But
big fan of the brand. Vince, thank you as always for joining us. We'll see you again on Monday.
Thanks, Sean. Take care, my friend. Thank you.
So somebody had a question for me in particular. That's awful nice. Somebody said, I'm sure you've heard that New Day sold the most merch at WrestleMania. I've heard in the past guys who sell the most merch get the biggest push. Do you think the New Day will go further up, or will they or have they reached the glass ceiling? That isn't always true. Hurricane had great merch sales. A lot of guys like Rey Mysterio would get great merch sales and wouldn't get pushed. That's not always the case. I don't know if we asked this, but somebody said, does Reigns' reaction not being edited suggest he's finally turning? A lot of times they don't edit those London shows because they send them right over. So I don't know if that's indicative. SmackDown will be a good gauge of that, but they edit everything on SmackDown. So guys, this Saturday, UFC 197. And I'll just say this, the next month and a half, 2 months, we have the most psychotic pay-per-view schedule I have ever seen. This Saturday is UFC 197, John Jones versus Ovin St. Preux for the interim light heavyweight title. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson against gold medalist Henry Cejudo for the flyweight title. Also Showtime Pettis on that. Then the next weekend is Payback. Lots of good stuff for WWE Payback. The next weekend is ROH and New Japan Global Wars. We're covering that too. The next weekend, UFC 198, an absolutely loaded Brazilian card. I'm talking like Cyborg, Fabricio Verdum in a heavyweight title fight against Stipe Miocic, Shogun, Vitor Belfort and Jacare, Anderson Silva's fighting. Like, this card is unbelievable. One of the Nogueira brothers is on there. A just absolutely sick card. Of course, we're going to be covering that. The weekend after that is Extreme Rules. So that's 5 straight weekends that we have pay-per-views. Then we have a week off. Then it's UFC 199, Rockhold versus Weidman, and Cruz versus, I can't even remember who Cruz is facing, but he's defending the Bantamweight Championship. And then the following Wednesday, NXT TakeOver. So many events coming this spring. It's unbelievable. And, of course, the Wrestling Inc. podcast has you covered. If you all haven't, check out our Wednesday show at 10 p.m. Myself and Rob McCarran. We do all the non-Monday Night Raw stuff. So Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, NXT, TNA, New Japan, even some UFC. And sometimes we just fill it with banter. We just talk a little trash to people. It's a little more of a loose show on Wednesday and Thursdays. But yeah, definitely check those out. A lot of you ask why we don't cover the NXT shows, Lucha Underground, things like that. We do that Wednesday. Thursday night, we get you caught up on all the mainstream stuff, all the news that's happened between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, midweek is big for news. So we covered that Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Rob McCarran. Please, guys, subscribe on YouTube. It helps us out a lot. Of course, check out trendybutler.com. Coupon code Wrestling10. Couldn't be happier with those guys. And, of course, DDP Yoga, our great longtime sponsor, DDP. Check out the resurrection of Jake the Snake. DDPyoga.com/Wrestling Inc. All kinds of good stuff from them. Go check out their great merchandise. Of course, DDP has stuff up at Pro Wrestling Tees. You buy any of that stuff, let him know that the Wrestling Inc. podcast sent you. Until Thursday, guys, or no, Wednesday, we are out.